Hey everybody, welcome back. We are back with part 2 of the boarding. We're not going to call it a let's play, we're going to call it a building the town kind of. Okay, it's a let's play. What we're doing is we're building up our little town of boarding into an economic juggernaut. So if you watched the first video, you saw us put in all of this town and add in some fields, and we're just on the verge of getting our firewood industry up and running. If you didn't watch the first video, then, you know, you're coming in a little bit late. So you missed the beginning. You missed the tornado we had right off the hop. You missed the struggles we had in getting all of these houses up and running and adding in and making sure that everything was working properly. But now we are a wonderful town. We've got lots of people. We've got a decent amount of resources. Things are going well for the people of boarding so far. Still haven't put a hospital in yet. Wonder if that one's going to come back and bite us in the butt. It might. And if it does, then you can all look and laugh at me. I'm going to crank the fuel limit up now because we've got a lot more woodcutters. A lot of people really like the firewood industry because it's renewable. They can go an endless amount of stuff with it. I find it a little bit fiddly because you're always worrying about, like, do I have enough firewood in town? Do I have enough firewood coming into the trading posts? After a while, you're going to have thousands of units in the trading post, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I just find it's a little bit fiddly that I have to keep an eye on it a lot. But in our early phase, it's a great one to start with, so we are going to start with it. So our trading post here, we have one guy working the trading post right now because we don't really have the manpower to overdo it. We are going to tell these guys, grab some venison. So the next 400 units of venison that come in are coming straight to the trading post. And firewood, let's say we want 500 units of firewood to start. And as our stocks increase, we can increase that as well. So you can see they're already grabbing it and moving it. We've got a storage yard right there, so it's pretty close. You can see trader guy drops some off. He's going to come back. That's him there. Pick some more up. And, oh, sorry, trader lady. Trader Josephine, if you will. Man, lots of bad jokes. I apologize, folks. So she has brought almost all the firewood, so we're almost up to 500. And we've got 300 in storage already, so we could easily up that at this point. We could pump that up to, you know, say 800, just to do it slow so that we don't get caught. This is our map. This is where our traders, the direction our traders will come from. So there's nothing yet. They got a decent road till they get to us because we're built almost at the far end of the map. Okay, look up a little lakes there. Pretty little lakes. Yeah, it's a nice little map. Sorry, I'm just wandering around the map now. So we had some people coming over here to grab all the stone from over here. That's pretty much all we've told our laborers to do at this point. We've hit our log. No, sorry, not our log limit. Our herbalists. Let's crank that one up too, because at some point we're going to need more. We've got our food limit set to 5,000. We could easily jump this up. Let's set this to 20,000. Because why not? And our first boat's coming. Yay! So we're going to zoom in here, see what's happening. Hey, guy in the boat, what's up? I like to pause things when the trader comes in just I can give everything my focus that way. You don't have to. Sometimes it won't be worth doing. You'll just check and see what they brought in. These guys have sheep, and sheep will be important to our economy at some point. And so here's a hint. If you didn't know this already, you can type right into this box here rather than just use the arrow to bump it up or down. So you can what I like to do is I just hit the 9 4 times, and then as soon as you click out of it, it'll jump it to the maximum. So you don't have to type in exactly how much firewood you have. You just have to type more than what you have, and it'll bump it to the maximum. And then, of course, that will allow us to buy 5 sheep, and then we can drop this down until it's close. We could even go in and say, trade 750 to get it exactly on the number. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. That seems like a good trade to me. I'm going to trade. I'm not going to dismiss him yet because we'll bring in more firewood, and if we get 600 units worth before he leaves, we'll buy that last sheep. So over on the orders page here, we can tell him to keep bringing sheep. We could tell them to bring in other kinds of animals too. Not really ready for cattle, not really ready for chickens. And this is an important one. Sometimes people miss this, the custom order. This drop down, I'm going to set it to every visit. So just keep bringing sheep. We're probably going to stop buying them pretty quickly because they'll reproduce on there. Oh, and then I dismissed it. Dummy. Just said don't do that. You weren't listening. Okay, so now we've got our 5 sheep, so we're going to want to build a pasture. Now the question becomes very quickly, where do we want to build that pasture? This, I think, is all going to be land where we're going to be building stuff. So I think probably back here would be a decent place for pastures. Over in this area somewhere wouldn't be the worst place either. Except, of course, we've got our forester there, right? We kind of hampered ourselves a little bit by putting a lot of foresters in this small area, but so be it. It's going to give us some trees in the meantime. So let us put in one of our pastures right here. We're going to put a nice big pasture in here to get our sheep production up and running, and I'm going to get the people to make that happen quick. And I'm also going to tell them, hey guys, while you're over here, grab some of that stone, will you? Okay, so we're at 3,500 food units, or sorry, yes, food units. Until I get my city hall built, I like to keep my storage barns inventory up where I can see them here. That way I have a good idea of how quickly I'll need to build another one and what's coming in. Once you have the city hall, you get that one menu that shows you everything you have, and so it becomes less of a big deal. So, how's things going with you guys? Good? Good, that's good. Alright, we haven't built steel tools, we haven't gotten to warm coats and stuff like that yet. We're not quite there. I don't know, we might end up just importing all that stuff. Probably not the coats, we'll probably get into the coat industry once our sheep are up and running. Now, you want to make sure that pasture gets built fairly quickly. You don't want to leave them in the trading post too long, because animals only last a certain amount of time, and if they die while they're in there, then they're no good to you. No good to you. Some people have said they bought 1 sheep or cow, and then at some point suddenly they have 2, so maybe it was pregnant. And then we don't want to talk about how the 3rd one came along, but apparently that does happen. Oh, and we're going to need more logs. Look at that. So this is the other part of that firewood industry, is that you're constantly having to make sure that you're bringing in enough logs. I guess, again, the other thing you do is set these guys to cut. I don't think they do it quickly enough to get it really going. What you need is your laborers doing it instead of just a couple of guys at the forester's lodge. So we could throw a few more farmers on the job here. We've added that 3rd field, and so that's going to bring in more food for us as well. Our woodcutters have nothing to cut with until those trees are cut down. And our pasture cannot be completed until those are cut down too. So if this was a normal game, if that I was playing, I'd probably be going a little bit slower. I didn't want to jack the speed too low, because then it would take you days to get through this, and nobody really wants that. But resource-wise, we're doing pretty good. We got lots of stone. We've got a decent amount of iron. Probably a good thing for us to do at this point, that would speed things up a little bit for us, is to make this road a stone road. So you can see here, up to here is about 50 units. So in like 10 minutes, I'm going to be like, we have no stone, what's going on? But I think that's a pretty good buy, honestly. And then this road where our trader's coming. Because the more efficient you can make this stuff, the easier it's going to be to start making money. So I will have the builders do that. And really, these guys are carrying stuff all the way over there, all the way over here. At some point, we'll put in another storage yard super close. Get them to pull all that food out of the fields. They're on target. So our food is now over 5,000 units. We've got lots of food coming in. We've got a trading post, so we'll be able to buy some food when we need it. At some point, we're going to want another trading post, and that some point isn't going to be too long from now, because what that's going to do is it's going to give us a second choice. We basically have... sorry, let me pause for a second. Every time a boat comes in, it's one of, I think it's 5 different types of boats. And if it's the guys carrying seeds, that's not very much use to us in the early phases. We want the guys that have the food, the guys that have the logs and stone, etc. So if you have 2 trading posts, it doubles the opportunity that you're going to get the right one. So at some point, we're going to have 4 or 5 or even possibly more. I can't see really needing more than, say, 4. The other problem then is that you'll have to split up your resources that are being stored in those. And that means you're going to have more stuff coming in. So as we grow, we will add more of those. So our field, our pasture is now ready. So we're going to add 1 person to work to that. And we have to tell them what kind of animal. We've only got sheep, so we've told them to work some sheep. And here we go. So now our sheep will start moving. At some point they're going to go, hey, there's somebody working there. There they go. If this was on the other side of a lake or something, they would actually swim under and through that lake for us. So you can see now we're at 47 and 8 is our numbers. So if we want to keep that super growth rate up, we need a bunch more houses. We're not going to really try to do that too hard. But what we might do is put another house over here where these guys can, the herders and the foresters can have a place to live. So we've got some trees coming back in. I'm going to pull all these trees out. Again, we've got an area over here. We could build another forester's lodge over on this side if we needed to. We could add a couple more people working to those. Might not be the worst thing to start building into this new area. So let's talk a tiny bit about that. So working into a new area, if you're going to start clearing out stuff, you're going to need a place to put things. I would say put a stockpile in pretty early. I don't want to put it right here because I may want to build on that coast, so I'm going to put it in a few squares. So all this is going to mean is any building that happens over here, they have to dump the stuff before they can continue building. And it just means they're not going to walk all the way back over here to here. It means they're just going to dump the stuff off over here. And that's something that we want. So the obvious things to build over here are another forester's lodge, because it's an undeveloped area, and also to put in a gatherer's hut. And the third thing I would probably throw in here is another hunting cabin. Again, all those things work really well together because they all rely on having a lot of forest. Yay, we have some food coming in. So we can trade some of our firewood for some of the food. I'm assuming you've all done this before, but if I say we want to use all of our units, so we've got 2,400 units, which is way too much for that amount, right? So we'll drop that down. Still way too much. So I'm going to say, give me all the pepper, give me all the corn, and then we can crank this down. We can either do it manually or we can... Simple math, really, right? We need 666 units, and these are worth 3 each, so if we put 222, that should be right. Oh, thank goodness. My math is terrible. So we'll make that trade. We're not going to dismiss him yet, because I want to tell this guy, every time you visit, bring in a couple different types of things. We're going to bring in some beans, bring in some cherries. So now we're able to get fruit other than the berries that we had before. Bring in wheat, because we can use that to make beer later, and bring in peppers. I like, just it's really your choice. As long as you got a couple from every sort of food to school, you'll be all right. And bring those every time, and go. So these guys have hit their limit. They're going to be needing more firewood here because we just used a bunch. So yeah, things are looking good. We've got our little center there. We've kind of encroached on that center, and we'll be encroaching on this one at some point, I'm sure. But the idea is you just keep kind of expanding out and working into that area. All of our builders are going to be building into this little section now. Wow, we're doing really well with the number of people coming in. We've got lots of extra laborers for now, which is great. At some point I'll be screaming that they're all dying out on me, of course. So we haven't really hit that first die-off yet. Our oldest population probably in this area. So there you go, a couple of people in their 50s, 5049, 5361. So you know right away by looking at that all those guys are going to be dying within a few years of each other, and that's going to send your numbers off. So the idea is you're slowly adding a few more houses all the time. And by adding those houses in, you're bringing more people in, and so that when that first cohort starts dying of old age, you'll actually have groups to put in behind them. At some point, we'll be able to use nomads once we get our city hall built. We'll be able to do nomads, which will help us out. We're out of stone. Again, stone. Can't have too much stone. Of course, we used all these buildings we needed stone for, so that's why we quickly ran out of stone. We've got some more gatherers. We can put a few more guys on the job here. I've got 2 guys working in each forest lodge now. And we will also have another hunting cabin up and running shortly. So yeah, food-wise, our numbers are still going up. We're at 6,000 now. Every time I look at the numbers, I think, oh man, I'd love to have that city hall built so that I can just bring up the graph and be able to look at everything in a big hurry. There's only 2 hunters total, so we add a third in, and now each one of them has 1. So the idea is the hunter's going to walk out around in his circle, and if he runs into a deer, which whether you can see it or not is there, he'll kill it. So if you have 2 in each, it increases the chances of that happening. Now once they have killed a deer, they won't kill another one until the next season. So if you have 3 guys in there, it might be overkill, and a lot of people have found that it is. So the game is telling me that our stone reserve is low, and of course it's right. It is. We knew that. So I'm going to increase the priority on gathering that stone. So how are things doing over here? We have lots of stuff in our trading post. Again, we could come into our inventory and we can bump this up again, make this 1,200. Our venison, we've got 400 here. You can see we've got another 400 units, so we could increase that too. Once we get our sheep up to capacity, we're going to start having mutton coming in. So there's 7 of 14 now. One thing I neglected to do that I really should have done is to add a second pasture. The reason being, if we get an infection or something like that, we're going to need a place to put all those sheep without having to kill them all. We definitely don't want to do that, because that would not be good for our economy in a hurry. Our storage barns are full. And so we're going to put in another storage barn. This is a good place for one because it's pretty close to our trading post. So they'll be able to take stuff out of the trading post and put it in there in a hurry. So this has become our new priority. Everyone's doing a good job picking up stone. But now we need you to use some of that stone. We need you to build us a storage barn. Really, that just means we've got way more food coming in. It's a good thing. It's a good problem. Again, I'm looking. We built one well here earlier. Suddenly occurs to me we don't have a well in this area. It's pretty close to the water. We might be okay there. Should probably have another well in here. We don't have a ton of stone, but safe, sorry, that kind of thing. So here's our third storage barn. And our log numbers are low again, but as you can see here, we've got lots of places. Since we put all these foresters in, we can now pull a bunch of those. And these guys are starting to build up the ones that we took there before, So we're still waiting. We're getting closer now. We got 65-year-olds. So got some senior citizens now. So we're going to start seeing a little bit of a population decline. So we want to make sure that we have enough overlap, that we've got enough extra people that we're going to be able to weather that until our new population starts coming back in. And we can continue with, now we've got a little bit of wood saved up. We want to get this stone, get our stone guys in there, getting our stone. There's another decent amount of stuff up that way too. We could build another bridge and start expanding to that area as well. The smaller you can make your bridge, the less material it's going to use. That's a good thing. But it also needs to be somewhere where people are actually going to use it. Guys having fun? You having a good time? Pretty good, hey? We're doing all right. Oh, look at this. Look at this. All the stuff this guy's brought in now. Oh, wait. No, that's the inventory screen. So just some logs. But hey, logs are important, and they cost half as much as firewood, so we'll buy those. Because why not? It takes us only like 25 to buy 50 logs. Oh, and you know what? I should have told him to bring more stuff. And I didn't. And I'll be regretting that. So again, we've got our bridge coming in. Before you use your last piece of stone, you got to build that bridge, because otherwise they take forever to go and find the material. We're doing good though. We're feeling good about things. I'm telling you guys, we can't overstress this enough. Some 50 and 60-year-olds here. See, here we could probably use more houses too, because we could get some of these guys out of the house. They could start building off, and moving into their own lives in some new houses. So maybe we'll put in a couple more wood houses. As much as I hate putting in wood houses, I don't want to overload the amount of stone we have at the moment. And I'm trying to avoid having to put in a quarry. We could. It wouldn't be the end of the world to build a quarry. I'd just rather not. It takes up space. You can't get it back. Can't fill it in later. Can't be done. Alright, so we're roughly at about an hour since we started this town, and we are at, what is that, 50, 60-ish people? Look at that. As soon as we finish building it, people moving in. And that's good. See, they're a little bit older, these people moving in, which means we're a little behind. We should probably have been a little more hardcore about getting some people in. And we can probably afford to be a little more hardcore about getting people in. So, I'm going to put in a little closer to these guys. Now, remember, we built the second pasture over here. We didn't put any animals in it yet, because we want one extra pasture. Really, what we could do is we could swap these two out. We could add another herdsman. We could say this is sheep, and we could say empty this one, and then they'll all come over here, which is what we want. And then we can say don't work in that one. And these sheep will eventually figure out that they're supposed to be in the other lot, and they'll all head over there. It's a bit odd that they haven't yet. There you go. Come on over to the other side of the road, guys. See, that one holds 20. This one only holds 14. At some point, this whole area will probably be filled with wool and mutton. So you can see we got a little bit of wool coming in now. We have 36 and then another 6 over here. So at some point, we'll be able to start making coats and selling those. And that will be a lovely thing. We'll be very happy about that. It's got more stone coming in all the time. As I said before, we should probably have built a stockpile. It's pretty unlikely we're going to put Fishermen in here. There's a little bit of water, but there's not really enough, especially since we've got an actual river right here. And we've got a giant lake over here. This would be a great place to put a fisherman if it was wide enough, and if we were actually building over there, which we're not doing either of those things. So yeah, things are off to a good start. We've got our little satellite set up there. We've got a couple other little satellites that we're building closer to. Could very easily build another satellite in here. I'm not too keen on getting crazy about the number of people that, or the number of workers I need right now, because I'm still waiting for that initial old age drop off here at some point. So there you go. We've got a few more houses coming in. Again, once we have our city hall, we'll know how many homes we have, how many people we have, that kind of thing. It's a lot easier to look at those numbers. So maybe we'll just bite the bullet and do that. I like to put this city hall somewhere where you're going to be able to find it in a hurry. You can hotkey it and that kind of thing too, of course. Here we go. Once that city hall is up, I try to leave that window open pretty much the rest of the game. Sometimes I accidentally close it. Usually after the nomad show up, I close it by accident. I try not to do that. It's my New Year's resolution in August, which is when I'm taping this. That is my resolution, my August resolution. So yeah, this is going to take a tremendous amount of stone. Iron, we're fine. We've got lots of iron, and the only thing we're using iron for is tools, which we're not using a ton of right now. So now our numbers 46, 7, and 16. So we got a lot of children because we put in a bunch of new houses all at once. So the number of kids we have is moving up. I don't think we're going to have a problem where we're going to need that second schoolhouse just yet. We should probably think about putting in a hospital somewhere, because you know we're going to get hit with some kind of disease at some point, right? So, let's see, what is our hospital going to cost us? Oh, so much stone. One thing that's important, if you put the hospital like right next to stuff, then everyone who walks by it has a good chance of getting sick. I had a town where I had it right next to the school, and basically all the kids just kept getting sick from the hospital, from the diseases in the hospital. So now I kind of put the hospital out by itself. Now again, this is not going to be out in the middle of nowhere for too long, but what's going to happen is people are going to walk, so there's a chance of infecting people as they walk, but then they're going to be over there by the hospital, which is out by itself, and not infecting everybody that's in the middle of town. So normally you'd want a hospital in the middle of town where everybody can get to it, but in this game it's more like a leper colony. You just want them out of the way. Get them away from me. And then the other thing that I want to use a bunch of my stone for at this point is I want to put in that second trading post to just double our options, and it'll even fit. There's another nice space for it right here. We'll probably be able to put in another one there. Oh, look at that. We're going to luck out. We're going to get 2 there and 2 there, so that should be more than enough. And they're nice and close together, which is nice. It's good to have them all kind of compact, I think. So then you can kind of center your industries around stuff. So I'm just going to set that up to build, because why not just queue it all up, and yay, our town hall is done. So we can close these windows now, because we don't need to see that. How are our people doing here? Oh, 71-year-old. We're going to see that drop off pretty fast, guys. It's coming. So you can see here we have 25 families, 23 homes. So it's hard to stay ahead of that number. Of course, every time you build in a couple new houses, you get more families created. So at some point, it's going to get way ahead of us. And you also don't necessarily want to keep that rate up where you're matching that for too long, because it gets tricky to do after a while. So here's our citizens. You can see that our health is good, our happiness is pretty good, our education is good, our clothing. So everybody's doing pretty good. The food chart is an important one. I like to keep that up. I like to set it to 10 years. So you can see here our food production has just been doing nothing but growing, and that's great. This is our newest storage barn, and it's getting pretty full. At some point we're going to want another one. So I might put one in nice and close to our trading posts. We're going to have 2 of those here shortly. So yeah, we're going to be short on stone fairly quickly. You can see that we've got a pretty massive demand for it on all of these buildings that we've just built. So the smart money would be to say, make sure that this one has enough, and then hopefully we'll get someone bringing stone to us to trade. In this town hall menu, we've got our inventory tab, and I like to sort this. I don't see the point in sorting it by name. I say by quantity, and I've never had a need for showing me just what's in trading posts or just what's in, especially what's in homes. I don't really care what's in the homes right now. But show me what's in storage and sort it so you can see what we have most of is potatoes and then roots and then berries, etc. And it keeps going. But we can quickly see now we've got this much log, we've got this much wool. Now the log and the total food we've got down in this little menu, which is great. But things like wool, we probably have enough wool now. We can tell our tailor, start making wool coats and crank up the number of wool coats. Just keep making them. At some point we'll get our trading posts to start using those as well. We're going to add a second trader in. Trader. So you can see now we have 25 homes, 25 families. But it also means that the new kids that are growing, unless people have died out of the other homes, they're not going to have any homes to move into. One thing we're doing is quickly looking through houses. We're trying not to find any houses that have like 50 people in them. This is always a bit annoying. You've got one guy living here and he's pretty old, like a senior citizens lodge or something I can throw them out into. You can set the house to be destroyed and then turn it off again, and that'll kick that guy out, but it's kind of a pain to mess around with that menu and that kind of thing, so I don't normally do that. Okay, this one's up and running, so I can see there's someone coming right now. So let's see. What do we have for venison? We got 700 units of venison, so let's grab all of that. And then firewood. Right now we've got about 300 units. And it's early in the spring, so let's get 800 firewood units. Sorry. And this guy, fortunately, is coming to this one anyway, so that's what we want. There you go. We got some pepper, we got some wheat, and we got some peach coming in. So we've got, of course, way too much firewood selected here. We could drop this down. Now we're over. Okay, so we're going to use 500 of our firewood units, and we're going to buy all of that food. Let's see what the order is. So this guy, we've already set our custom order, and we can let this guy go. We do have enough people at this point that we could probably throw a brewery in. We haven't done that yet. And the people are probably a little bit upset about that. There's no drinking going on. So we're going to put one in. Tavern right there. And we should probably also think about a church and a cemetery. I'm going to put the cemetery over here. You just want to make a nice big one because you don't want to have to keep building cemeteries all the time. Again, just a lot of stone. Everything I build, I look at and I go, oh, so much stone. We're out of wood again. But now look at this. We got these giant swaths of trees that we can take advantage of. And we should build a church too. And that's pretty much the last of our kind of main buildings, if you want to call them that. Just trying to find a spot where it's not going to be right in the middle of our field area. At some point we're going to want to maybe throw another field in there. I don't want to rely too heavily on imports because you get into these big swings where stuff's coming in and there's not enough and going out. And look at that, we got another merchant. What is this guy brought us? Got some potato seeds, some beef, some berries. So really, if it's just a matter of bringing in stuff right now, we can just grab everything they've got. Except the potato seeds, which are expensive. And we can drop this down. Do the trade, and then, so this guy's in order. So I'm going to maybe order some wheat so that we can start doing some brewing with the wheat. It's not the most efficient way to go, but, and then I'm also going to get some apple. Herbs are always a good thing to order. Iron is great. This guy's the sort of the general. He brings everything, so I want logs, I want wool, I want stone. I don't need coats. I might as well throw steel tools in there. I'm not going to buy them early on, but later on I might want some. And bring these every visit. Okay, so we can dismiss this guy. So you can see we're not too far in. We have a decent economy now, and it hasn't even really taken off yet. And we're doing it all with a pretty small population. We're not over 100 yet. We got a fair amount of extra people that we're going to be able to, excuse me, that we're going to be able to take advantage of when our population starts dropping, which it will. Oh, it will. I'm going to put in another pasture over here because we're probably getting closer. 12 out of 20 for our sheep. So yeah, what we're going to eventually aim for is having 3 different economies, really. We can have our choice of firewood, we've got our choice of ales, we've got our choice of wool. So if one of them's low, the other ones will fill in for us. So here we go. You see that? Our old age has started. 1, 2, 3 gone, like that. And we're going to start seeing more of that, because that first cohort is all dying off at the same time. So this is the point in the game where a lot of people go, everybody died out and I can't figure out why. Actually, it probably happened earlier because they were probably not preparing ahead, because it didn't happen to them the first time. They didn't know. And so now we're building our chapel. We're going to throw another house in. Just important to keep an eye on those numbers so that you know what you have coming in and what you have going out. That's one of the biggest things that'll kill you in this game, is not paying attention. And it happens to everybody. Even the pros. You know, those pro Banished players, those guys that everybody's like the Tony Hawk of Banished players. Whoever that guy is. He's amazing. He can build out of nothing. Alright, alright. So, our chapel's only halfway done. Again, we're getting low on stone. We're running out of iron because we took our eye off the ball. So, we're going to grab all this iron here. There's lots of iron right on the little shore here. Shoreline. Again, there's lots of stuff over on this side. Could build another bridge because we kind of grabbed everything that was easy to grab there. I was really hoping we'd have a trader or two that would have brought us some stone by now. It's kind of the easiest way to get it. Lots of iron over here. Iron's not going to be a problem. There's a decent amount of stone over here. We should probably think about trying to get a bunch of that in before our population all dies off. So remember, we had, these were our oldest houses right here. And now we've got younger people moving in. This guy, pretty old still. Oh, this is 71 and a 55-year-old living together. 71, see, it didn't seem like that big of a difference when they were, 30 and 15, but yeah, lots of older folks in this area. This area is all the newer families that we've been throwing in. What's our overview showing us? So families 21, homes 26. We got more homes than families now. Our food, see that's that little drop, right? We bought a bunch and then it gets grabbed, used, new houses, that kind of thing. So we're doing okay because we're still bringing in quite a bit of food. That would be an interesting graph Banished designers, if you're listening, which probably not, would be a good graph to have, is like food brought in versus food that's actually produced. Then you'll know how much you're actually producing and what you need to supplement with. I tend to just buy all the food all the time. And our brewer's up, so we can look in our inventory quickly and see, look, we got tons of berries. They're not the most efficient way to make ale, but for now it's fine. And then the next would be wheat and peach. We've got a little bit of each. And we've got someone coming to visit us. What you got? Sheep. More sheep. Well, you know, we could always buy more sheep, and we can always make more firewood. So I've set this too high. I'm just going to click it down slowly rather than do the math. Everyone's watching. How close will he get? Can he do it? Yes. So we bought some more sheep to put into our pasture. And then we'll have our second pasture up and running soon. Again, lots of things that we've told the people to do, but because they're all doing lots of things and we don't have that many of them, it's a bit slow in the go right now. And that's okay. We're having fun. In fact, this is probably a good place as any to stop the second part of the boarding video. So we're going to continue in part 3. So here in part 2, we've got our economy kind of basically running. In part 3, we're going to amp it up into overdrive through the use of our 3 different economies and the fact that we're going to have starting to produce with our sheep. We're going to have some coats available. We're going to start brewing more ale and have that available, and everything's going to get going. So what does this guy have in his trading post? We'll find out in the next video, so please join us then. Thank you very much. This is another Where Games video. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate any comments you might have, and we will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.